Teamwork isn't just nice to have in business, it's the undisputed competitive advantage. When your team members work as a unified force, your whole operation benefits through higher productivity, thriving creativity, and unstoppable momentum. Welcome to the Impactful Teamwork Podcast, where we share with you strategies and tactics to help you develop game-changing teams so that you and your business can make a real difference in the world. So welcome back to this week's edition of Impactful Teamwork. My name's Julia Feltner, and I'm going to be your hosting the guide for the next probably 20 minutes while we look into everything teamwork. And today I wanted to share some research that I've been doing on how to create high performance teams, and particularly 3 levers that I have identified that really help you build an unstoppable team, one that is where the performance is turbocharged and where team members deliver more productivity, profitability, and are more highly engaged than you can ever imagine. So why is it important? Why is it important to have a high performing team? I think it really comes down to the fact that in today's fast-paced and ever-changing business environment, building teams that are agile and adaptable and resilient is no longer optional. It is the cornerstone of sustainable success. And I've developed a blueprint on how to develop these turbocharged teams. And the blueprint is inspired, as you might guess, if you've been following my work for a while, by nature and the lessons that we can learn, particularly from working with the horses as well. And what I've been developing and what I've researched and discovered is a really practical framework for conscious trailblazing leaders, people just like you, to help you create unstoppable teams. So let's dive into each of the levers that are there and how they operate in synergy to help you create these high performance teams. And as I said, why do we need high performance teams right now? We live in this world that is very volatile, a lot changing on a day-to-day basis. So there's this real need for us to be able to be agile and adaptable, and for our teams to be able to respond, I often use the term on the hoof, to the changing situation. We're also suffering, if you listen to a podcast, I think it was 2 episodes ago, where we were talking about the low levels of trust that exist within organizations right now. So this is compounding the problem. And also the latest Gallup statistics that I just came across, only 10% of the UK workforce is highly engaged. So we've got so many things trying to stop us having this high performance right now. So I think it's an imperative that as leaders, we focus on how do we create a high performing team, because that is what we're going to need to survive and thrive in the era going forward. Probably one of the first challenges that you might be struggling with as a leader is, how do we get all of our team working collaboratively together and not working in silos? And this is really the foundation of solving this question, or this conundrum that leaders have, is how we create game-changing trust within the organization. Because we know trust is the bedrock of any successful team. And without it, collaboration falters, communication breaks down, and performance suffers. And research from PwC reveals that high trust organizations experience a 50% higher employee productivity and retain their top talent 76% more effectively than low trust organizations. So therefore, trust isn't just a nice to have, it's an absolute game changer. And horses as prey animals exemplify the importance of trust. Because in a herd of horses, trust is what keeps them safe and keeps the herd cohesive. And on my experiential workshops, Leaders actually have to learn how to earn the horse's trust before they can establish any meaningful connection. And because horses rely on nonverbal communication, consistency and presence are two measures that they use to assess how trustworthy we are as a leader. And these principles, of course, mirror directly to the dynamics of human teams, where trust enables psychological safety, open communication, and genuine collaboration. So, what are the dimensions of game-changing trust? There are three. And the first is relational trust. This is trust built through interpersonal connections, and it requires leaders to demonstrate empathy, fairness, and a care for their team members as individuals. So how do we see this panning out in nature and in the horse herds? Because in a herd of horses, relational trust is visible when weaker or injured herd members are protected and supported by the group. And I've seen this, firsthand, where I've seen how a herd can rally around and support a herd member when they are injured. However, I've also seen the most extreme examples of this, which is when a herd member is actually putting the safety of the herd at threat. Then I have actually witnessed on a video a lead stallion actually killing a newborn foal because it wasn't able to keep up, because it had been born ill, with the rest of the herd. So as a leader, in terms of relational trust, sometimes we have to make those tough decisions. So how does that show up in business? As a leader, you make those tough decisions. Sometimes you have to release some people from your team that are underperforming or not fitting into the culture of the organization. And it's really vital that leaders create one-on-one relationships and connections with all of their team members and really understand about their strengths, challenges, and aspirations so that they can best serve and support their team members going forward. There's nothing more inspiring as a team member when your boss knows about you, knows about what your dreams and aspirations are, and does things within their power to shape your role and the activities you're doing within the workplace to help you meet your own personal goals. And the founder of Mind Valley is a great example of this. Actually spends time with every single new team member, finding out what their goals and aspirations are, and then making sure that those are met within the role of the organization. And as a result, he has really high levels of team engagement and productivity. So the second dimension of game-changing trust is competence-based trust. And this is trust in the leader's ability, knowledge, and decision-making. Because a leader's credibility directly impacts the team's confidence in following their direction. So let's see how this plays out in nature. The lead mare in a horse herd earns her role by consistently making decisions that protect and benefit the group. And in business, we see that leaders that continually demonstrate their expertise whilst being transparent about what they don't know, seeking input when they need it, are actually viewed as much more credible and authentic. And I learned this the tough way, actually, when I was leading my team through the Enron fiasco that happened when I was at Arthur Andersen. And we went through 9 months where we were in a place of uncertainty when we didn't know what would happen to the business. And for a long time, I tried to pretend to my team that everything was going to be all right. And I soon rapidly realized that actually trying to protect them from any potential bad news actually was damaging my position as a leader, because I wasn't entrusting them to make a smart decision based on the knowledge they knew. And actually, when I became a lot more vulnerable and shared with them that I had no idea what would happen to the division, our roles could have been made redundant. As it was, the business division was acquired by Deloitte. Actually, I learned my team's trust, and they also felt empowered because now they had the facts and they were able to make decisions that were best for them. And the third dimension of game-changing trust is structural trust. And this is trust in the systems, the processes, and the culture that underpin the team. Because when systems are fair and transparent, trust is amplified. And we see this in the horse herds where there's a clear structure, but a lot of flexibility exists to adapt to the changing conditions. And in the horse herd, you might have often heard me talk about this concept of shared leadership. So there is a structure, there is a lead mare and a stallion, and then the band of horses in the herd. But that structure has a flexibility to it that means that other herd members can step up and jump into the leadership role if they see the danger and a better solution to move forward. So that's why in business we need to ensure that our team processes are inclusive, transparent, and designed to promote equity. Just to recap, how can we build game-changing trust? It's about vulnerability and adaptability and authenticity. It's about consistency and follow through. It's about empathy and action. And it's about non-verbal communication. Remember that 93% of communication is non-verbal. So horses, just like our team members, pick up on our body language, our tone, and our presence. So you really need to be intentional about how you show up at work. So a reflective question for you today might be, how do you demonstrate trustworthiness in your daily leadership interactions? How do you balance this relational, competence-based and structural trust in your leadership approach? Or what barriers to trust currently exist within your team, and how can you address them? Okay, the second lever of creating these turbocharged teams is, how do we energize the team? Because energy is the driving force behind every successful team. It's the fuel that powers creativity, resilience, and execution. And teams that are able to manage their energy well are better equipped to handle challenges and achieve consistent high performance. And according to Gallup's research, highly engaged and energized teams see a 21% increase in profitability and a 17% increase in productivity. And what I love is the horses offer us profound lessons in energy management. Because as prey animals, their survival depends on balancing bursts of activity with restorative periods. And similarly, leaders must learn to recognize when their teams are approaching burnout and when to revitalize the collective energy. Because there are 4 dimensions of energy that any leader needs to manage within their team. And the first is the physical energy, the stamina to complete tasks and maintain focus. And leaders can influence this by promoting well-being and encouraging breaks and supporting work-life balance. And as I said, in the horse herd, the horses conserve their energy and they only expend it when necessary for survival or movement. But the challenges I see in business often is business leaders and business teams are going full to the throttle. And we're not spending time to rest and relax and recuperate, and importantly, reflect on what's been happening. So I would really encourage you to think about what policies you can implement within your organizations to encourage this rest and recuperation so our people don't burn out. And these might be such things as flexible work schedules or wellness programs. The second dimension of energy is emotional energy. So the positive feelings that motivate and inspire actions, because teams with high emotional energy are resilient and collaborative. In my horse herd, the horses display calm and confidence, and that helps them navigate the challenges. Within business, I might like to suggest that you want to foster a culture of appreciation where the wins are celebrated and the challenges are met with optimism. The third dimension of energy that we need to manage is mental energy. And this is the focus and clarity needed to solve problems and adapt to new circumstances. And this is really enhanced by eliminating distractions and creating an environment of psychological safety. And one of the biggest challenges that a lot of leaders really struggle with is what I call attention deficit disorder. This is the fact that there's always something going on, your phone pinging with notifications, people needing to get hold of you, and actually your ability to focus for extended periods of time is really curtailed. And that has a massive impact on your energy, because what we've shown is, and all the research shows this, is that when you're in the middle of a task and then maybe your phone rings, you pick up, you have a call, and then you go back to the work you were doing, it takes you 20 minutes to get back to that level of productivity you were at prior to that call. So you see throughout the day how our day can just get hijacked, and we spend all of our time trying to get back to the state we were in before. So we really need to protect our time and the level of disruptions that we get into our work on a daily basis. So the example from nature here is that horses really have a lot of what we call sensory acuity. They maintain a heightened awareness of their surroundings. This is what keeps them safe. But it also means that they can adapt very quickly to the changing circumstances. So in business, I really encourage you to try and reduce the number of unnecessary meetings you have, really be mindful to support people's well-being, and maybe encourage within the organization, you have some specific times each day where people engage in deep work with no distractions. Wouldn't it be amazing if, for say, the first 2 hours of every single day, there was a policy within the office that there was no internal disruption and everyone put their phone maybe on voicemail and got on and got some work done. I know when I was in the corporate world, actually, the time I was getting my work done was prior to my team coming in the morning. So I was usually in by about 8 o'clock. So between 8 and 9, I got lots of work done. And after everyone had gone home at night. But that wasn't really good for my well-being, because that meant I had a really elongated day, very extended hours of working. The fourth dimension of energy that I just want to talk about is spiritual energy. And this is this deeper sense of purpose and connection that inspires individuals to go up over and above and beyond what we would normally expect. And this energy stems from an alignment with shared values and meaningful goals. I see this within the horse herd. Their sense of purpose probably is quite simplistic. It is actually to keep alive as a prey animal. In the workplace, we have much more complex senses of purpose, and everyone has their own individual purpose. But what's really important is, as a leader, we help our team connect their daily work to a greater purpose and reinforce, importantly, how their contributions impact the broader mission of the business. So some things you might want to do as a leader is think about what are the peak performance times and schedule demanding tasks during those periods where your team have the highest level of energy. Each of us have our own biorhythms when we have the highest levels of energy as well. I have the highest levels of energy first thing in the morning or later on in the evening. We also need to make sure that we help build in those recovery periods for reflection and rest. And we also might want to think about some energy amplifiers. This is introducing activities such as team building days that boost the collective energy of the team, which are really important. So perhaps something for you to think about as a leader is, do you recognize the signs of energy depletion in your team members? And how can you create this environment where physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual energy is optimized? And the third dimension that I want to talk about that helps create a high performance team that's turbocharged is curiosity. And curiosity, to my mind, is the catalyst for reinvention, because it's a gateway to learning, growth, and reinvention. And unlike innovation, which seeks to create something entirely new, reinvention leverages existing strengths to craft new opportunities and solutions. So a study by the Harvard Business Review found that curiosity boosts organizational alignment, engagement, and adaptability by a staggering 34%. So in nature, curiosity is vital for survival. My horses constantly explore the environment and new environments to detect threats and opportunities. It's really interesting, actually. Yesterday, they run out of hay in their hay feeder. And because it was a Sunday, I couldn't get a hay delivery. So I actually went and put some hay in a big pile in the field. And it was just so interesting because they immediately recognized that something in the landscape had changed. And they went and became very curious to find out what it was. And so we need within our teams this same instinctive curiosity to be harnessed to help fuel problem solving and create this level of adaptability. So, how do we build a culture of curiosity? The first thing we want to do is encourage questioning. So, as a leader, we want to model curiosity by asking open ended questions and inviting diverse perspectives. So, we really want to help foster an environment where the why and the what questions are valued and rewarded. A lot of us, when we were children, when we asked the question, why does that happen? We were always told to be quiet. But actually, today in business, we need people to be asking why and really challenging what's going on so that we get this new perspective and are able to reinvent. We also need to build and create psychological safety within the workplace because teams are more curious when they feel safe to express ideas without fear of judgment or failure. And we've spoken a lot about this on other podcasts about the importance of creating this learning environment where people can experiment without fear of retribution. Within my herd of horses, I definitely noticed that they're more willing to explore new territories when they trust me and they trust each other within the group and they know that everyone's got their back. So in the workplace, I'd really encourage you to celebrate learning moments, even with the ones where the experiments fail, because this is what's going to create this culture of trust and curiosity. And then finally, we want to encourage exploration and provide opportunities for team members to step outside of their comfort zones, whether through cross-functional projects, training, or reinvention challenges. So the one thing I do know to be true for my herd of horses is that they adapt really quickly to new situations when they're given the space to explore. So in the workplace, we often want to offer our team members what you might call a stretch assignment, or maybe even leverage something from some of the ideas of Google and have a reinvention day or days where team members can explore new skills or ideas. In Google, they had an experimentation day once a week. And that's where a lot of their new innovations came from in terms of Google Maps and Gmail and things like that. So your reflective questions are how do you encourage curiosity and exploration within the team? And are there any barriers that you have in place to curiosity in your current culture? And how can they be removed? So I think this really interesting interplay of trust, energy, and curiosity creates a synergistic effect that can help propel teams forward. Because trust establishes the foundation for open communication and collaboration. Energy provides the stamina and drive to execute the strategies. And curiosity fuels reinvention and adaptability. And together, these three elements form a virtuous cycle that fosters agility, resilience, and unstoppable momentum. And really, as a business leader, that's what we're looking for, is this level of unstoppable momentum within the business. One thing that business leaders always say to me is that their big frustration is that things start going along and then team members start robbing them of valuable strategic thinking time. The business starts faltering. And what we all want as a business leader is the business to stay consistently moving forward with this massive momentum. Because it's a bit like in our business, it's like trying to move a jumbo jet. We use most of the fuel to get things off the ground. Once we can get things off the ground, and we can keep things moving. It's much easier to shift the energy when you're in motion rather than static. So as a business leader, we need to keep our business and our team members in motion so that we can achieve the results that we need. So as we part company this week, I just want you to think about which of the three levers, trust, energy, or curiosity, is strongest within your team, and which requires your most attention. And then you also might want to reflect on how you can integrate the lessons from nature and horses into your leadership practice. As always, I'm welcome to have a conversation with you if you'd like to explore how you can develop unstoppable teams that are turbocharged. We have a proven blueprint that we help companies implement within their businesses. And also, if you just like to come and experience the work with the horses, that's very, very transformational for individuals and teams. So please do reach out for me. So please have an amazing week, and I look forward to catching you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Impactful Teamwork Podcast. Please stay tuned for future episodes and do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating on your favorite platform. Recommendations are essential for attracting new listeners. Please follow us on social media at Julia Feltner and at Business Horsepower. And if there are any topics you'd like us to cover on future episodes, please do let me know. Remember, you and your team are always making an impact. What impact will you make today?